Thank you, President Barack Obama, for being the first black president.
What if I told you was a cane? What if I told you was a cane? What if I told you was a queen? What if I told you was a queen?
Well, it's a sad farewell. It certainly is a moment in history that none of us will ever forget. We will not forget his magnificent speech in Chicago on the night that he was elected. We certainly won't forget his first inaugural speech, and certainly the privilege of working with him and working with the First Lady, Michelle Obama. So my first is to salute both of them for a stupendous journey of leadership for this country, a very difficult country with so many levels of difference. I think President Obama, first of all, thank you for seeking a place of unity, recognizing that the country was changing right throughout your administration, and recognizing the importance of diversity. You really tried to touch all manner of citizenry from all walks of life, all faith. Second, I believe that you had one of the most traumatic presidencies with the loss of life. Certainly, I lived through the tragedy of 9/11. Nothing will ever compare to that heinous terrorist act on the United States. But the gun violence that you had to encounter with respect to constituents' loss of life, from San Bernardino to Aurora, to certainly Newtown, and certainly to Arizona with our colleague, Congresswoman, and certainly to Florida, Virginia Tech, and of course, Mother Emanuel, and many other places. The violence of gunfire in Chicago, certainly the tragedy of Trayvon Martin and Michael Brown, and so many others. You had to be the chief comforter, the comforter in chief. Thank you for the capacity, but also for the strength of speaking out about gun violence. And we will take your challenge that gun violence must cease, guns must be regulated. Thank you for your thoughtfulness about the geopolitics of the world, dealing with issues of Iraq and Iran, dealing with the questions of peace around the world, the struggle with Syria and what approach to take. We thank you for being deliberative. We thank you for promoting NATO and working on making sure our allies are strong, but again, going to all parts of the world, from Africa to South and Central America, to the European countries, to China, and beyond. We thank you for your recognition of the importance of letting the world know that we are the leader of the free world, and you were the leader of the free world, and this country's values are deserving of respect around the world.
Well, thank you for enduring all that you had to endure and trying to right this government and equalize treatment of people and provide services, much needed services for people here in the United States. I really appreciate the efforts that you went through and the fights that you had to fight in order to get where we got and to get the gains that we did make. You're leaving the White House as probably the most visible and powerful black man in the world. And with that comes a terrible responsibility. Well, not, but I think being who you are, you understand the responsibility. That the change that you came in on in 2008 didn't happen the way we all hoped. And we would hope that the fight for you is not over. And you know, I heard excerpts of your speech the other day, and it doesn't seem that it's over. And so you're gonna have to use your power, your cachet, your sway, whatever you can to continue the struggle, because the things that we all know that need to be fixed aren't fixed yet. And so we're counting on you to carry forward in even a more powerful way, and an even more pointed way than you were able to do as president of this nation. You can now focus really on those people who lack instead of everyone. And that's who really needs to focus. And we understood that, that you were president of this entire nation. But right now, there are so many people who lack, and we're coming into an era where that's not going to even be a consideration, I don't believe. So we're going to need your strength, your cachet, your personality as a celebrity, and from your activist roots to return there on a world stage. And you're an inspiration, and that's the biggest part. Mr. President and Michelle, you both have a tremendous, tremendous responsibility to, help, to just help.
As the Obamas leave the White House, I would just have to say I am so deeply grateful. By that I mean Barack and Michelle brought so much to this nation. Of course, we got to see their leadership. We got to see the empathy, the way they carry themselves with such grace and humility, but such knowledge. They were perfectly put in these positions to lead the country. They had incredible ideas. They were innovative. They were proactive. They served everyone of every color, of every financial background, of every demographic in all of our states. And that's so rare to have a leader that can truly speak to every type of person. They had a spirit of service. That is something that I think quite often lacks in that house that we've seen the last few decades, a spirit of service. And when I think of my gratitude for them, it's not just about thank you. It comes from a deeper level of I feel grateful that they have lived. I feel grateful that I existed in a time to see them walk in their purpose, to be able to be inspired by that. When you look at Barack Obama, it's so much bigger than leadership. It's so much bigger than making great choices for our country. He was such an incredible definition of manhood for so many people to see, of fatherhood, of husbandry. In so many ways, he was an incredible archetype for an entire generation of people. And the same for Michelle, the way she carried herself, the way she cared about people with their nutrition, let's not think that is something small. That's massive right now. That's teaching a whole nother level of self-care, of health, of thriving. It's absolutely amazing the type of archetypes they will go down as in history outside of just their revolutionary leadership. And I am deeply grateful for their lives.
I would thank the Obamas for 8 years of style, grace, power, and everything that they've been able to accomplish as a Black family unit in the White House. It's been amazing, and I would just thank them for that.
Definitely. I would kind of echo her message. The leadership and the grace has been kind of restored to the president, the office of the president. It's been a breath of fresh air for the last 8 years.
Yeah, it's been amazing to see them and how they interact together. It gives hope to the Black family unit. To see a king and a queen and them interacting together and building and running the country. So I would thank them for instilling that in the rest of us.
And also for giving us positive images of Black families. How Black families are raised, and parents, and raising teenage daughters or smaller daughters who became teenage daughters, but just kind of giving us positive images of what Black families look like. We appreciate it, and thank you for that.
Thank you.
Given the climate across the nation, as the Obamas now leave the White House and the new presidency is coming in, I would urge them and encourage them to continue to help people of color. In the Black community, the Latino communities, is just continue to help us in the ways that you can, with funding for HBCUs, and just continue to help the community, the people of color in the community.
And we're looking.
I'd like to see Mrs. Obama continue to work with the young kids. You know, her Get Fit Across America program was amazing, and I think that's something that we still need. You know, they're still fighting battles in schools about nutritional values and foods and things to eat that are healthy for their young kids, and I just think that that's an amazing platform that she had while she was there. So I'd like to see her continue it now that she's out of office, or he's out of office.
If I told you you was a king. What if I told you you was a queen? What if I told you you was a queen?
Thank you for being the greatest people in the world. You have shown me so much. You have shown me to be a leader, to achieve my goals, to do a lot of things and make sure that I never give up. As a black president in the White House, you were a leader, you were a great father, a great husband. You were a lot of things to this nation. So we say thank you for everything you've done to help this nation stay together.
Hello, my name is Michaela Reed. I am a sophomore from J. Freddie Davis High School, and I would like President Obama to know that you have made a lasting impression on our generation by becoming the first African American president of the United States. And you have shown us that we can do anything and everything we set our minds to. And for that, I'd like to thank you.
To all our young children of color that have had the blessing of coming up in a time where we had an African American president, how amazing, because your mind has been expanded in a way that is very unique to humanity. The way that you have been able to see yourself, it's the first in history for people of color, that you have been able to come out of the womb and already see yourself as the king and the queens that you are from jump. It's huge. And this time we're walking into, it's a little scary. It's very different than what you came up in or what you remember for the last 8 years. But the beautiful thing about it is, what a resilience you are going to be able to have like no other, because now you know what the standard is, and so you can spend your life fighting to not only uphold that standard but to go so far past it. And I think that that part is incredible, and enough can't be said about the way that we are empowered right now. The political climate, it's a struggle this year in 2017, and it can feel defeating. However, we know what we're capable of now. That's a gift. We know what we are capable of when we mobilize, when we are strong, when we are loud, when we are committed. And now that we know it by heart, and so we can still apply that to every single crevice of our lives from here till forever. And we can still now teach it to our children and teach it to friends and teach it to people of all different colors. We have an example. So we got to keep striving.
Children, young people, you've seen something that this country had never seen before. A person of color, a person like you in the highest seat in the land. You've also seen the opposition and the hatred that was generated by that, but you also saw the love. And so the most important thing that you can take away from the administration that just passed, the Obama years, is that you too can aspire to be whatever you want to be. You too can aspire for hope, for change, for the ability to reach out and put your hand on the shoulder of those less fortunate than yourselves. You can also learn to look at yourself and understand how blessed you are, that you have the abilities to continue to move forward and to affect change. the visual of that family sitting in the White House, Barack, Michelle, the daughters, is an inspiration. That, you know, you can take up that mantle, and not necessarily a president, but wherever you go, whatever you do, if you're a small community organizer, it's not what, it's great that he was the president, but what the lesson is to try to help someone other than yourself.
I think the message I would give to young people is to either continue to stay involved or get involved. You know, the 2008 election kind of energized the entire nation, definitely people of color and young people, to vote for this person who could potentially have been the first black president, and then was the first black president and was in office for eight years. So I would say if people could revert back to how they felt in 2008, yeah, exactly, how they felt in 2008, to get involved, stay involved. If you're involved now at a small scale, you know, go that extra step to get more involved in your community, just to keep the momentum going, especially now, given the climate, the political climate that we're in now. So get involved, stay involved.
I think my message would be more for women, just not just black women, but women of any color, is that, you know, the sky's the limit. You know, we had Hillary Clinton, who was Democratic nominee. What other woman has gotten that far? You know, I think that it's very inspirational, and to see Michelle Obama in that first lady role as the first black female in that role, I think, you know, the ceilings for women, they're just getting blown out of the water. So I think I would just take that inspiration and use it to fuel whatever you're doing as a woman. You know, if you want to be the first mayor, you know, as a woman of your city, go for it. Sky's the limit. It's just like Obama said, yes, we can.
Each generation must be defined. We had the movement and the struggle and black power, and we are still working. Let no generation be considered old and old hat and should not be listened to. Find wisdom where you can. Find wisdom from us, your parents, even your peers, your grandparents. Don't ignore wisdom. Don't ignore generation success from the greatest generation to generations beyond, or in essence, the history of our people, who are diverse, but many of the African American heritage, of course, came here first in the bottom of a slave boat. Others had a fishing boat. Others walked across the borders. Others were on Pilgrim Pride. Everyone had their way. Native Americans were here. Don't ignore anyone, and don't ignore your history, because there's still things to fix. But we live in the greatest country in the world, a democracy that allows voices to be heard without punishment, as long as those voices are nonviolent. Never ignore the dreamer. Don't let anyone ask you, who is Dr. Martin Luther King? And you don't have an answer. Don't let anyone else define what is important to you for your history. Know who he is. Well, the dreamer died at 39 in the fight for voting rights and civil rights. He should not be discounted along with so many others. And President Obama acknowledged him, walked across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, and celebrated the civil rights movement. You should celebrate movements, that movement, your movement, Black Lives Matter. All should be respected and honored, but the most important point is that we need to get things done. Are you going to help us get things done? Are you going to accept the challenge to be a fixer? To be a tree shaker and a mountain climber? I can see that that is what you have the capacity to do. I've seen you working, and I look forward to working along with you. The future is bright, but it's even brighter with each and every one of you being the tree shaker and the mountain climber that you can be. Again, God bless all of you. God bless the African American Museum of Houston, a great asset. And God bless the United States of America.
What if I told you you was a king? What if I told you you was a king? I told you you was a queen? What if I told you you was a queen?
My favorite thing was Osama bin Laden. Like, everybody said that he was not capable of finding him and getting him, but it was him that made the call. And look, we got Osama bin Laden. So I'm like really excited that that's one of his accomplishments. What about you?
He died though.
I mean, yeah, he died, but look at all the terror and stuff that he did. I mean, the war is over too.
I could agree with that. I mean, I think my favorite thing about President Obama and his presidency is probably his swag.
It is pretty cool.
Like, I mean, like, to see him like walk from like his house to the to see him walk from like his house to like the White House when he has something like this little swag and everything.
Yeah, I feel like him and Joe Biden.
Uncle Joe?
Yeah.
Uncle Joe?
Uncle Joe. Yeah, they do have some serious
I
swag.
think he's got some really
I think I'm gonna miss that in the White House.
I agree
It's
with
not
that.
gonna be a swagalicious.
It made the White House real. You know, look, it felt like you lived in the White House.
Yeah.
Because you knew the people there.
Yeah, and then, you know, I like the fact that even though it's the Affordable Care Act, you know, that it's Obamacare.
Obamacare.
Yeah, it made it even cooler. It made it like,
great.
I got Obamacare. What about you?
Obamacare. I got Obamacare.
What about you?
What about you?
Yeah, I'm gonna miss all of that.
Me too.